Hello, everyone. Very good evening, and welcome to the third session, I believe, of Evolve 2022, Day 1. I would like to thank Team Apidm for inviting me to speak at this conference. So let me start sharing my screen. So today, I wanted to talk about cookieless internet. I thought this is an important topic to start talking more and planning for the changes that are really coming ahead or already has started happening. So I think I have about 15 to 20 minutes, so I will skip my introduction and straightly jump into the areas that we are going to cover. So we are going to start with a bit of background on cookieless internet and what cookies are. And then we will talk about how this will impact advertisers and what are the steps that advertisers should start doing or preparing to face these changes that are coming ahead. So what is internet cookies? So internet cookies are simply a small piece of codes that could look something like this, that are placed by the websites that you visit onto your web browser. So let's say you're using Google Chrome and visiting website A, and then website A could generate and place a small piece of code on your Chrome browser in order to identify you and store some stateful information for enhancing your experience with website A. Now, so there are many use cases when it comes to cookies. It was, introduced in 1994 with the intention of enhancing the user experience and get to know the user better. So cookies are used for multiple use cases like session management to remember user across multiple sessions, understand users' preferences, and perhaps personalize the content of the websites for individual users, and also start tracking the users' behaviors and users' engagement to better measure the impact of advertising and so on. Now, there are two types of cookies, first-party cookie and third-party cookie. So first-party cookie is pretty straightforward. These are the types of cookies that are dropped directly by the website that you visit. So you visit website A, and website A could drop a cookie from their server to your website, your browser. So this is called the first party cookie. These are dropped by the first party, the website that you directly visit. However, third party cookies are the kind of cookies that are generated by third parties that you did not visit, right? So let's say in this example, you visit website A, and but website B is able to generate and drop a cookie on your browser despite that you have never visited website B. How website B was able to do that? Because website B could be an ad network or an analytics provider. They were partnering with website A to deliver advertisements. So through that integration, website B was able to drop a piece of code or a cookie on your browser, which is called third-party cookies. So the website B in this case is a third party where you have never visited. So third-party cookies are the cookies that drop by on your browser by third parties, the different websites, the different vendors that you haven't interacted with directly or given sort of the direct consent. So Now, when it comes to the context of cookieless internet or cookieless world, what we really are talking about is the depreciation of the third-party cookies. So the concept of first-party cookies is going to remain as it is. There will be no change when it comes to first-party cookie. So even though we generally say cookieless world, what is really dying or is only the third-party cookie, and the first-party cookie, where the cookies that are placed directly by the website that you visit will continue to work. These are the kind of cookies that are usually used for the website's functionalities, be it remembering your preferences, your login information, or some of the cases to capture your first-party data and so on. So there is really no major concern when it comes to first-party cookies. However, the concern is around third-party cookies, where users are being tracked by third parties that they never visited. So this is the primary use case for this third-party cookies actually comes from online advertising ecosystem, ad networks, so that the advertisers can start understanding your online behaviors and deliver personalized ads and measure the conversions and so on. So now Google decides to withdraw from third-party cookies by 2023. So now this was one of the biggest blow when it comes to online tracking ecosystem in advertising. So until this moment, until Google came out and say, hey, we will stop supporting third-party cookies, there was no major worry in the among the advertisers and publishers. But once Google's informed about this, there was a lot of tension, because Chrome is the biggest browser with the highest market share. So globally, there's about 64% market share which Chrome has, where all the other browsers shares the rest of the 35. In the context of subcontinent and Sri Lankan context, this is even more important, where Google Chrome is like, I think, somewhere around 75% market share, where the rest of the browsers are much lesser. So Google came in early 2021 and said that they will discontinue third-party cookies. Actually, they said they will do it by 2022, and then later they extended the timeline to 2023. So what they also emphasized is that they will have an alternative in place for online advertising ecosystem before they will end the support. So right now, Google is working hard on coming up with an alternative for cookies. And at the same time, there's a lot of industry initiations on how to tackle this. So Google was really pushed by rising user demand for privacy, increased scrutiny from regulators, pressures from other browsers to really push for this change. So if you look at the timeline, it's actually not Google that who initiated this trend first, right? Where initially Safari was the first browser to actually completely kill or disallow third-party cookies in 2017. And then Firefox started to follow with blocking third-party cookies as well. So then is when Google started announcing that, okay, we are not going to stop the support right away, but we are going to come up with an alternative. And then as we find the alternative solution, we will end the support. So the timeline that they gave recently is that by 2023, they will end the support and they will also have alternative methods of tracking. On the other hand, there's also pressures from the regulatories, GDPR, was came into effect, where European Union came in and said that you need to get the user's consent if you're using the cookies. So this is where you have started seeing the pop-ups that ask your permission to use cookies and so on. So this trend is sort of getting into different governments where they are realizing that there is a gap, and they are starting to implement the policies around data protection and privacy laws when it comes to using third-party cookies especially. So now, how will this impact marketers, right? So, like I mentioned, I mean, at least in the subcontinent and Sri Lankan context, we haven't felt a huge impact yet. Yes, Safari and Firefox have already discontinued support for third-party cookies, and Apple has recently blocked device IDs from mobile ads. But we haven't still felt a huge impact because of the dominance that Google has in our markets. Like I said, the Google Chrome sort of dominates the browser market share with about 70 to 75% in Sri Lanka. So this change is already happening from the other side of the other parts of the ecosystem, but we may have not felt huge impact since the market share is smaller. Now, however, with the announcement of Google that they will also discontinue support for third-party tracking, third-party cookies, now it's time for us to really get serious, and there is no excuse because this will be a huge change and huge consequences if when this happens. So, according to a study done by OpenX, the efficacy of advertising could drop up to 51% when the third-party cookies are blocked if there is no alternatives in place, right? Rubicon Project study says it's 60% drop. So there is a huge, issue that might pop up if there is no alternatives or replacement for cookies. However, thankfully, the industry is working hard on finding alternatives, be it Google or be it Facebook or some of the other stakeholders. There's a lot of initiations already going on in terms of finding alternative solutions for cookies. However, it's not ready yet. So until the alternatives are properly in place, marketers will start feeling the impact gradually, in terms of targeting, right? And especially retargeting and behavioral targeting, that there will be a lot of challenges that marketers will face, along with measurement, right? Because third-party cookies are the backbone of both the retargeting and also the attribution and measurement context. So marketers will start feeling the impact in terms of targeting. So the personalizations will see a drop, audience sizes will start diminishing, frequency capping will not work accurately because that is depending on third-party cookies to distinguish the users. Lookalike audiences extensions will take a hit. On the other hand, it will be more difficult to validate digital campaign effectiveness because we are not able to measure or track the users to the third-party cookies. This will result in higher CPAs, lower return on investment, primarily because some of the campaigns will not be able to get the attribution for the conversion that would happen because it's not able to track the conversion. This will also have a ripple effect when it comes to the optimization of the campaign if the campaign was not able to capture the conversions. Weave through attribution will take a big hit, and modeled conversion data will sort of take a center stage. So we already see that, for example, Google has started using model conversion data for Firefox and Safari because they are already disabled the support for third-party tracker. So Google cannot understand what's happening in Safari and Firefox. So they estimate or use the modeling algorithms to give you some conversion data. It will also have an impact in terms of the conversion window, where it will need to be looked from a smaller time frame compared to the flexibilities that we had in the past. So then the question is there an alternative solution? Right. So we understand what is cookieless, internet, and what impact that it could have. Now, do we have a solution ready? Right. So the answer is yes and no. Right. Yes, because yes, there is alternatives being planned or being identified. No, because it's not going to be a one-on-one replacement for all the use cases that cookies has right away. So the solutions are right now being built, being researched. It's not 100% bulletproof. So, however, there is some clear directions from different stakeholders in terms of what are the alternatives that we have when the cookies are deprecated. So on a high level, the alternatives could be grouped into these three methods. So the first alternative is one-on-one identity based. So the cookies are also identity based. However, when we don't have a cookie, we will there is progress on finding an alternative identity based encrypted and authenticated methods using consumer data. So Unified ID 2.0, ID 5. So these are some of the initiatives by industry stakeholders on finding an alternative. And on the same line, publishers also now starting to use their own first-party data, own identifiers to capture users and use it for the targeting purposes. So the second type of alternative is cohort-based targeting. So this is where Google really is taking sort of the drive on these initiatives with their privacy sandbox. So cohort-based methods allows ad personalization without identification of individual. Rather, it's focused on group-based and anonymous advertising. So it groups the users into different cohorts and use those cohort IDs to sort of target and personalize ads. So it eliminates the requirement of cookies and identity-based targeting. So concepts of flock and fledge are part of the Google's privacy sandbox to sort of address some of the behavioral targeting and interest-based targeting methods. So these are some of the real alternatives that are already being tested and looks promising. So the third one is the alternative to basically target users without identity. So it's contextual. So it's not something new. Contextual advertising, contextual targeting has been there for a long time, and this will sort of take a revamp. And so there is no need of any identity data when it comes to contextual targeting, right? And ad techs and ad networks starting to reinvest on contextual targeting as an alternative method of targeting, where users could be targeted based on the content that they are consuming at the moment, and that will play a big role when it comes to alternative targeting methods. And Google's privacy sandbox initiatives, I'll skip the details as we are running out of time. You can do a few search around this concept. and Facebook's response in terms of conversion APIs, where they allowed advertisers to directly send the conversions and website events to Facebook instead of sending through a web browser, so which is called server side tracking. So Facebook also responded to Apple's app tracking transparency framework with a couple of changes, which is something that's already impacting some of the results that is out there. All right, so now what should you do now, or what can you do now to be prepared and for these changes that's happening? First, I would say audit your tech ecosystem and the overall digital strategy. Understand where are you using first-party cookies and third-party cookies, and also perhaps understand whether you need to have consent form displayed on your website to support the regulatories and so on, and really get a good picture of where you stand when it comes to cookie usage. Improve first-party data collection. This is very important. So if you can't borrow data from third parties, you will have to start building your own data. So a lot of publishers or a lot of advertisers don't realize this, that you do have a lot of information that you can get access directly from your users and from your customers. So improve on building a first-party data collection, and then return to contextual advertising. So like I said, contextual advertising has been there for quite a long time. Now there will be a revamp of this, and this will start to take center stage. There will be a lot of new initiations. AI will be involved in enhancing the contextual targeting. So start experimenting with contextual advertising, and so that you can less dependent on behavior advertising, which might have a bigger impact. Consider invest in customer data platform, a CDM platform, a CDP platform, where you can collect your customer data from multiple touch points. Could be a tool like HubSpot, where you will collect all your customer data in one platform, and then you can use that platform to distribute the data for different use cases. This is also, again, enhancing your first-party data collection. Facebook's aggregated event measurement configurations is already out there. So this is something you need to definitely start reviewing and make sure that you have configured the right setups. And switching to the server-side tracking. For example, the Facebook conversion APIs is a great alternative for skipping the browser based tracking method. Instead, you would send data directly from your website to the Facebook or Google through server-side configuration. So if you're using platforms like WordPress and Shopify, that's already templates or default configurations that you can do it easily as well. Now, finally, keep a closer eye on industry progress and changes, right? As this industry, or there is a lot of changes happening, and it's very fast. Every week that you see that, some changes and some new initiations. So you need to keep an eye as advertisers, as online marketers. You need to keep an eye on what's happening and be ready to react and be ready to sort of address for those changes. So yeah, with that, I think I've taken a couple of minutes more. So I hope that there is some useful insights that you gathered. So thank you very much, and wish you all the best for a cookieless future. Thank you.